Hi, and welcome to You're Amazing. Today's episode is a special one, because for the first time I'm joined not just by one, but by two very inspiring guests, Mel and Sabrina. They are the co-founders of Ally, a coaching and consulting company that supports teams and leaders in creating real transformation through empathy, agility, and also deep listening. They've both worked in the field of personal and team development for many years, and what I find truly fascinating is not just what they do, but how they do it, with clarity, depth, and a very human approach to growth and leadership. I've heard them describe their work as where empathy meets agility, and I think that's such a powerful invitation for how we can lead, listen, and grow today. Before we dive into some of the very interesting topics we have, I'd love to start with something a bit more personal. Could you each introduce yourselves in your own words? What makes you, you, and what do you personally bring into your work and into this awesome co-leadership you've created? Hi, Mel and Sabrina.
Hi. Thanks, Jorma. It's great to be here. I think what I'll say to describe what makes me me is what I hear people often tell me they experience of me, which is sometimes they call me Yoda. I don't know why, but I think what I bring to team situations, to conflict situations, to, kind of chaotic situations is definitely a feeling of calm. And I've cultivated that in myself, so I'm not always calm, but I've learned how to channel that. And I love to share how I do that also with other people. It's part of why I like working with leaders. So yeah, what makes me me is calmness, really like complete and active listening. So it's not just what I'm getting in my ears, it's what I'm seeing. And even surprisingly, it's the vibe I'm feeling, even though we're through cameras. I feel like I can pick up vibes. So I'm pretty attuned to what's going on around. That's it. That's me.
Thank you, Mel. What about you, Sabrina?
Thank you for having me too, Irma. It's very exciting for me, and I'm a little nervous. I would plus one what Mel said. And I think another thing that makes you you, Mel, is your kindness and your big heart that you bring when working with people. I felt like I want to add this. And what makes me me? I guess many ideas. Constantly new ideas and approaches, and then I fall in love very easily with problems, and then I obsess about them, and I really love to involve people and engage people and have a good time whatever I'm doing. I love enjoying co-creation and creating materials, workshops, experiences for people to learn, to connect, to really feel good and grow at the same time. If that makes any sense.
And I would add about Sabrina that she is a force of nature. And that's really cool, though. It's really cool about our relationship, and I'll start talking about our relationship because, if you say Mel is the calm one, Sabrina is the activator, and she wakes up the room and really engages people and activates them. And so we work really complementarily, if that's a word, together. We just really balance each other out when we're working together.
Couldn't agree more, yes. And actually, Mel, I manifested founding with Mel. Back then, many years ago, when I first got the chance to work with Mel and learn from her, and I told you back then, one day we have a company together, Mel. One day.
Yeah, exactly. You got to manifest it. Here we are.
Thank you. Yeah, great. And I love, let's go there. Maybe you can take us back to the beginning of Ally. How did your idea, starting something together, actually emerge?
So it was all Sabrina. um, I want to go back to like what we were talking about earlier. So we've known each other for like more than 12 years. We both, along with you, Yorma, worked at Sing. And so we had the chance back then to collaborate a lot. We were both in the Agile coaching community at Sing. We ran workshops together. And so we really kind of understood each other's strengths and weaknesses, and we wanted more always. Like every time we would do a workshop, we wanted to do another one and another one and another one. You know, and then years later, well, we got Sabrina here to Barcelona, which was great. So now we're geographically really close. But we moved away from Sing. We each had our own gigs. And then I think it was like 2023, I asked Sabrina to come and help me out with a values workshop with the company that I was working with at the time called Koa Health. And I think at that workshop, the seed was definitely germinating and growing, because we were talking about, how can we turn what we just did into a product? How can we make a product out of a values workshop? And a few months later, I think we both just decided to go for it and see what we could build together, right? I mean, it was that kind of that natural. And the thing is, sorry, I know it. See, I keep talking. But the thing is, we were using what we do in workshops on ourselves. We were like eating our own dog food. So we have a giant Miro of brainstorming where we would just block out time in our calendars, like 2 or 3 hours a week. We would get together and we would work in Miro and collaborate and riff on each other until something was taking shape. And then we finally kind of landed on building this leadership program, because what was happening, and it's still happening, is that so many people who do what we do were getting laid off. And a lot of the time, what we were doing was assumed to be picked up by engineering managers or delivery leads or maybe a project manager or product manager. And these people were just completely overwhelmed already. And now they were responsible for doing the agile thing. And so we thought, okay, let's help the people who are stuck holding the bag and teach them everything that we know. And so we did that. And then in parallel with that, from our own networks, people were asking us to help them with various workshops. So we did a workshop on innovation. Sabrina designed the whole thing and ran it in Switzerland for Sony AI. We did feedback workshops. We did a lot of kind of team building, not the kind of team building like paintball or anything like that, but really like more like team inception, like finding ways of working and stuff like that. And so just between the two of us, we have so much knowledge, like why sit on it? How, and that's really what Ally is about, is like getting it out there and sharing it with anyone who needs it so that they can learn and practice as well. What do you want to add, Sabrina? What did I leave out?
Yeah, I would grab that question like the Sabrina, like what moved you, and do you still remember when you go back how that decision felt?
Well, it was like, finally.
Very good.
Been waiting long
Not
enough. I'm very patient. I don't really seem like it to most people. I'm very patient. If I have a goal, I have a vision, I have a purpose, and I think I'm just so happy about having Mel so close now in my life. So any thought, any anxiety, any worry, any question, any idea that I'm having, there's someone who actually cares. Like we have the same mission, we have the same desire in our hearts. And now being able to just really in detail call Mel, be like, right, can we think this through? Or I'm worried about that. I don't know how to handle it. Or what do you think about this idea? Or I want your perspective on this. I want you to edit it and make it ours. I'm just loving it. I'm just getting goosebumps. It was beautiful Xing. She was, I mean, man, you influenced me so much in how I think, how I work. And now just being in this equal partnership where we just keep learning, also doing a business together, which is a completely different set of skills. And then on the other side, just really diving deep into topics that we care about, not that someone asks us to do. I think that's so it feels very right. It feels beautiful every day again. So it gives me a lot of energy to be in this partnership.
Sounds great. I'm curious, how did you come up with the name Ally? I love that.
It was either going to be ally or slay.
Great.
I'm really glad we chose ally. I think, I mean, for me, the word resonated. We worked with some guys who are brand guys. Actually, Sabrina found them. They're brilliant. So they did like the naming exercise with us. And what we did was we shared that giant mirror I told you about, where we had just like thrown everything in there and said, here is who we are. Help us. Because I think one thing that we're learning as we're doing this business is there are definite things that, we're good at and we know. And then there are definite things that we have not that we have no clue, like we can learn about it, but we also have to make decisions about what are we going to actually invest time in learning versus let's give it to an expert, right? It's all like Eisenhower matrix kind of prioritization, right? We can't do everything all, so we have to choose. So anyways, I forgot their names. I feel really bad.
Ben and Carlos.
And Carlos gave us some name choices. And yeah, Slay was one of them. And we were on the edge of choosing Slay. I'm really glad we didn't. We chose Ally. That's the nature of our relationship with the people we work with. We're allies. We're there behind helping people move forward, make progress, achieve what they want to achieve. We're like the biggest fan club, right? And so it's a partnership. And so that's why Ally works as a name, because we're in partnership with the people we work with.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Any concrete topics, Sabrina, that you outsourced?
I'm trying every day. So we actually got support just recently on the social media side of things.
Right, yeah.
And it's so good. It's really a luxury to have someone who knows what they're doing, who knows how to pick topics. Because Matt and I, we have so many ideas, and then we also we work, and then I pick a topic up at work. So I'm working with a team, and then I'm like, oh, estimation is a huge topic right now, and so I just sit down and write up methods for it or articles. But then how do we get actually to the funnel to decide and make it smaller? And it's beautiful to have someone on social media end. And we also got here and there support on the marketing, emailing side, which we're activating here and there again. So I would definitely say also the website, it's definitely worth it to invest money to get it done nicely. And well, I'm dreaming of being able to hire professionals, experts on that field that can just take our brain babies and help us to bring them out there.
Yeah, I can totally plus one that. I did my website on my own. I'm doing all the podcast, cutting everything. It is a lot.
It is a lot.
And what I am like most passionate about, and I'm passionate about everything, but in the end you have to decide and what you're really good at and what is fun. So, and I'm hearing that with you, like where's your passion is in doing the actual work, the workshops, the preparation, going in, talking to the people. I think that's where you belong, right? Yeah, and it gives you even more time.
I can't even pitch myself. You ask me what I do for a living, people don't understand what I do for a living. I'm not good at selling myself, and I tried, but I also don't have any desire. Maybe at some point in my evolution, I will have this moment where I'm feel like, yes, now I really get it. Yet,
Yeah.
why force myself into something that it just costs me a lot of energy? And I have people around me
Yeah.
who are able to help us, and we are able also to pay. I think it's
So,
just
yeah.
beautiful this way. It feels very good.
Yeah.
I would love to explore a little bit more of your works. One thing that stands out for me is that you don't just like work with agile frameworks, doing agile work, but you work a lot with mindset, culture, and the people, like the humans. So what does agility mean to you beyond like the methods, Scrum, OKRs, etc.?
So I'm not sure how to respond to that. Because it's so easy to fall back on a framework, on a methodology, on a tool, because there's some comfort in having maybe the rules spelled out for you, and if I just follow these steps, I'm going to get the result I want. After doing this for this many years, the reality is that you're as good as everything else around it, right? You're as good as the system is. And the system, the mindset, the biases we bring into what we do, the belief systems we have, the beliefs about work, the beliefs about, growth, all of it really factors in to what you end up with. And the idea of being agile or doing agile, it's like so overused now. It's so overused that it doesn't have any strength anymore, I feel. And that's why, the work that Sabrina and I do really does focus on the people and meeting them where they're at and understanding their system and their context and working inside of that, right? So Sabrina had this great line the other day. It's like, what was it? You can't be agile in one workshop, or agile, you do one workshop and you expect everything to change about how things are happening. That's just, that's just beginning. And so, it takes understanding who you are working with and what's the system and what's going on around them and in the environment. You want to add some more, Sabrina?
I might almost go with the classic, which in a sense of manage work, lead people. Right? And how we lead people, it's a completely different story. And I've chosen, or I think those topics have chosen me, are biology, like our human performance based on our biology, whether we're man or woman, or like how does our rhythm work? How does our menstrual cycle impact women? How does menopause impact? Is this one part or culture? We work in global teams, developing products, or even if it's a house or if it's software, it doesn't matter. We are all coming from different cultural backgrounds. And how do we speak about this? This is to me being agile, like respond, react to the reality. And it's like a dance. I think it was Srini Panay. I don't want to get the name wrong. He wrote this book on learning. And he actually said, like, agile is the dance between responding and to change and adapting. And to me, this is it. It's basically how our brain works, to me, in a philosophical way. What about you, Jarma? I'm curious.
For me, in the end, I also thought about a lot about that question. And in the end, for me, the simple answer is just learning. For me, agile stands for learning. It's always the circle, the learning, the experimentation in it. I love that. And for me, that's kind of what you also go back to. It's biology. It's what our cells are doing is like reinventing themselves, like all the time, adapting, etc. is also in there. And I love the word learning. So I'm a fan of learning culture. And that's agile for me. Thanks for
I'm
asking.
loving it. And if we're thinking about this, just the other day, it's all about with agile. We focus a lot on the delivery part, and there is a discovery part. And it seems so intangible to people, but it's also how we develop software. A couple of years ago, no one knew. People were like, what? So let's draw it. Let's draw a value stream. Let's
Yeah,
talk about it.
right.
And if we do the same for the creativity process, it is so much simpler because it's the same for every human. You know, you start with a problem that you start to analyze it. From there, you go into this incubation. You're sitting in like a little hen on the eggs. Then you have the epiphany, and then you go into testing and validation until you deliver or not. And there's the process, and it's very innate to our uttermost human being.
Right.
Which I find almost like delightful that we forget it. We're in these companies and we work and we plan the work. Okay, guys, but what is it actually we're trying to achieve, and how does our brain and our ways of how our bodies function support this instead of working against it?
Yeah, definitely. The whole area and field of the physiology, the physiology of us as people and how it affects how we perform is super, super interesting. And it, I mean, it's very well developed and researched in athletics and in sport. Like lots of money is put into that research about how athletes perform, physiology, nutrition, sleep, all of it, right? Because they're trying to achieve this certain level of performance, but it's not just physical performance we're talking about. That's where we're missing it in our industry, because you also need to be physically on top of your game in order for your brain to work well, in order for the creative ideas to be able to flow, in order for you to communicate well with the people around you. So for some reason, whatever the reason is, we've kind of forgotten about that. We've forgotten about the physiology. I mean, now what we have in offices, there are healthy snacks. So there's something around that, but there's still so much that we just don't even talk about when it comes to physiology and performance.
And Jerma, I see you nodding. I'm very interested in what comes up for you when you're hearing
Yeah.
it.
I had the word that came up was just holistically
Yeah.
looking at everything. And it just makes sense to think about everything. I sit down in the morning with my morning routine, and it's like, okay, what is my body about from head to toe? What is my brain telling me? I'm journaling. I'm trying to be as holistic with myself. Like, what is there now? What I want to achieve today? So everything is holistically and it only takes me 30 minutes, and then I'm kind of, okay, I think I have it all, like the most important stuff. So let's go. And holistically is kind of what you said. Like you have to think about the human part in work.
And it's fun, the human part, whereby it's the
Right.
Or
human
humans at work.
create. And our leadership program is actually, as we're trying to develop, like we're struggling with the pitch, yet it is a holistic program. One part is about the physiology, actually working out. How can you work out? How can you stretch at work? What does physical activity do? And have a personal trainer there who shows you how to do it, and not only talking about it. And then how to get rest. What is power napping all about? How to get an actual rest. how to recharge, how are we different? And I'm absolutely obsessed with this topic, and I think this is what the three of us have in common. Know how to optimize and how to feel good at the same time, right? It's all about this. For me, everything is about enjoying. We're here to enjoy. We're here to contribute to a better world and have a great time. And as we go, help others to uplift them. And I think if we can, maybe also like if we would change the word agile to like something agile, holistic, learning, empathy, you know, then we would have a little word cloud maybe that it would change how we're looking at it.
Love that.
Yeah.
And maybe because I'm hearing a lot interesting stuff that you're saying. Can you make it like a concrete example? How do you support like real change in organizations, for example?
So one of the things is like the people that we're really focused on helping are some of the most stressed out people in the organization, right? So like, you know, our target is engineering managers for one, because we've been working in the industry for so long. Why engineering managers? You know, and how are we influencing them? And like Sabrina said, you know, in our program, we talk about sleep, we talk about nutrition, we talk about exercise, we talk about emotional awareness. We have, and you know, someday I'll show you kind of just that module and everything that we've put into it. But when we work with the engineering managers, that's what we're doing. And with the cohort and bringing them together. So we've got different engineering managers from different companies, but they're all in the same boat, more or less, right? They've all been given 2 or 3 teams of 15 people. You know, they're in scale ups. Everything is late. Everything is total chaos. And like what we've created with the cohort is a safe space to actually talk about what the struggles are, what they're up against, what they're facing, and breaking it down, one. So we have modules for different aspects of what they have to deal with. But 2, it's like creating that community with the different people in a cohort so that you don't feel like you're alone. And it's like the safe space where people can really ask for help and be a little bit more vulnerable than they can be at work, right? So yeah, the people that we've worked with, a lot of them have taken what we gave them in the cohort and are using it now in their daily work. Are they still stressed? Probably they're still stressed, right? We're all stressed. But at least now they have tools to be able to cope and manage it.
And if I would think, so what comes up for me is working with a client, like a more intense engagement with a client. And as for the role, because I've been working as an agile coach, as a change manager, as
delivery lead,
organizational designer, those are the different titles. And I feel whenever I come in, especially as an agile coach, the line gets a little fuzzy between what I do and what HR does. And I've been always a big HR fan. So since the beginning of the time of me working, I try to be very close to HR. So we align learning and development plans, because we as agile coaches, we're usually obsessed with teaching and learning and sharing and building communities and the safe space. And one strategy, how I've been supporting change, is on the one hand, ally with the leadership team. Really, what is it? Tough but kind talk. Really honestly, like, guys, you have me here. What is the reason? This is what I need. This is what I need from you. And let's really work on this together. And on the other hand, being with HR colleagues and also looking them deep in the eyes, we're like, look, I'm here to support. And you need to tell me what are the constraints, what I'm not allowed to touch, because we're speaking here about a transformation. It is not only, we do a little bit of Scrum. No. We start there, and then the Pandora's box opens. So I feel like very much of the work, like working on site with clients, is a lot about listening, as Mel said, listening. What is it you really need? What is the top priority? What do you want help with? Not you need help, because we have so many different topics, but where do you want me to support? And then have like those little communities pop up everywhere within the company, where people can also feel safe within the company to share. In addition, then you have an external network, which we as agile coaches have been always very blessed to have. I think.
Great. Thanks for sharing. The word, when you said stretched, I think you were talking about like really stretching your body. But I kind of got back to the stretch between, you're also talking about challenges. And when you talk to HR, and how do you balance these with the care factor of like really being an ally? And there's the care and the feel good, but also the challenge. How do you balance that?
Speaking for myself is I really do care. I really honestly care about people. I really want us to be good, to feel good. And I want everyone to get the bonus or the promotion or whatever their dreams are. I don't want to be in the way of none of this. So for me, it's really this helping people to really see my true intention. And if it doesn't resonate, if, you're just not feeling me, you really don't like the way that I'm approaching things, it's hurting. I don't say, I have feelings, I have an ego. So it's not the most beautiful experience to be rejected, yet then it's the right call when people just say, "Buff, no, I just cannot connect with this way of operating." Because I think change is something so personal. And you need to feel this deep connection and trust to the person you're collaborating with them. That
Definitely. And, we often say meeting people where they're at. And to meet someone where they're at, you have to put yourself in their shoes and actually understand, what's going on. And I think it's a beautiful thing that Sabrina's, building bridges with HR, because oftentimes in companies, HR is seen as the enemy and people don't really trust HR. And becoming an ally to them, bringing them into an alliance really makes a huge difference, right? Because at the end of the day, the people in HR also are struggling and also are stressed and also are worried about are they performing well and are they hitting their numbers? Everybody is. And so part of what we try to do is create an environment where people can start opening their eyes also and practicing empathy and putting aside being the main protagonist of their story for a moment to understand, again, where are they in the system and what's going on around them. Awareness and learning. We're back to awareness and learning again, right?
Right.
You need to slow down to be able to do that. And this is where so now I'm closing the loop, right? So this is where the physiology part comes in, because it's, breathing. I'm really into breathing and heart rate variability. And, Yorma, you're saying about your morning routine. Like one of the things I do is a morning readiness check on my HRV. Why? Because HRV tells me how good am I going to be today at reacting to stressful situations, right? And so I already know before I start my day, okay, Mel, you have to take a little bit more care of yourself today, maybe take more breaks, maybe, spend more time outside, work outside if you can, because it's a hard day just from HRV, right? Sorry, I went off on a tangent there.
I love it. And another thing that came up was actually because when I looked at Yorma's LinkedIn, I saw that we have something in common, not only Xing, but also being coaches, systemic coaches, right? And as agile coaching has itself the stance in the title, I'm really learning to play with this a little more in one-on-ones with managers, helping them to learn guided self-reflection as a tool so they can use it with their employees. I lead them through this, and so they feel more comfortable with their emotions and their thoughts and their anxieties and their dreams because they said it. And I think another big topic for us is also communication. One of the classics, non-binding communication, but how do you actually bring it? how do you actually make it real? Because it's one on paper and everyone feels kind of awkward. I'm following a little paper telling me to do, and people don't like it. But what is it underneath
Yeah.
this philosophy of communication? And it's really speaking from, this is my experience, this is how I'm feeling. And I've been hearing many more women than men saying that they're feeling ashamed when they get emotional at work, which, breaking news, we are emotional beings. We get emotional all the time. And men know this, women know this about men. Discover, we know this about everyone else too. So how can we create a space in which people can express their emotions without the emotions taking over, right? And I think that's like with morning practices or grounding techniques throughout the day helps us to check in, or even just like touch your body a moment, like walk a little bit, be in your body. This is something that also for me personally, it's when I'm getting nervous or I'm feeling tense, I'm switching off the camera, taking a breath, or I'm asking to take a break to like 5 minutes. And the more I learn about those topics of emotional regulation, the better I can help people.
I love that. Yeah. And it's kind of funny because what you're just saying, like I did a post, I think 8 weeks ago or something, like Jorma is now holistically, fully authentic in the company. If this is something like I decided to also take my emotions to work. And it sounds funny also for me, like being an agile coach, like also for years and being a coach. And now the one-on-one coaching is also something that is very transformational for me. Something has opened as an addition where I wasn't really aware of. And this is what I also see in people, like being at the workspace, trying to shut things down. And I see them being so stressed of just taking care of what is the character, what is the one that is here and the one that is there, that is taking so much energy, right?
Yeah, definitely that compartmentalization, right?
What is your picture there on your
I mean,
observation?
so I did 2 retros this week, and in both of them, like the most powerful question was, what are we not saying that needs to be said? And just creating like space. And there was a lot of space after I asked that question. There was like complete silence, and that's okay. But, it's at least it's a gesture to say, I notice that we're not really saying what needs to be said here, whether or not, anyone on the team
I'm sorry.
rises to the occasion and offers something. That's, that's a journey that we're on together with the team, but at least creating that space. What are we not saying that we need to say? Super important.
I forgot the question. What was the question?
There was no question at all. There was one
How do we
hours ago.
Yeah, how do we bring it to our everyday, right?
We bring it to
How do we bring it?
Yeah. But maybe what I had in my mind, because now you're talking about retrospective, and I had like 2 or 3 workshops the last days, all in person. And I'm very curious about your work. What do you see differences between working remote, cross time zones, in person? What is your experience on that?
So right now I'm working with a team based in India, and we have a team in Europe, and now we have some people in America, in the USA. Time zones is really hard, but there's a way around it. I think the more important piece is all the work that Sabrina has done in, kind of translating the culture map work into something that people can wrap their heads around and actually talk about, right? Because I don't know if you know about the culture map, the book, but it's a really great book. And again, it's about what are the histories and biases that each of us carries with us and beliefs. And one isn't better or worse than the other. It's just, this is how we've grown up and how we've become adults. And having a space to actually look at it from a different perspective and look at it critically, and then talk about what you're seeing and all the assumptions that are underneath, and bringing those to the surface, I think is like so important when you're working with cross cultural teams, right? Because we have no idea. And another quote that Sabrina and I use a lot is, in the absence of data, we make up stories, right? We have so many stories that we tell ourselves about other people, and we have no idea. So now we're back at empathy again. Empathy meets it. And here we are going in a wonderful loop, right?
And working with teams from different countries and cultures, what I also find an interesting challenge is, of course, mostly we speak in English, but almost nobody is an English native speaker. Well, I'm not. So it's like a room of, I don't know, let's say a team of 12 people, and there's one American and 11 people from different countries. Once the American leaves the room and I leave the room, they start speaking a different language or whatnot, whatever constellation. And what I love doing, what I also love inviting, what I love asking people to do is to write it down in their favorite language, or the language that it comes up for you. Because sometimes I'm asking the question in English or in Spanish, if it's a Spanish team, and then there are, people from France, whatnot. And they're like, I don't know how to say it the best way. And they're just freaking out. I'm not finding the words. Don't worry, write it in Romanian. Don't worry about it. We can translate later. Just collect your thoughts on, paper, type it up in your favorite language.
Yeah.
And then we go from there. And I think giving people the space to be in their own cultural bubble is very important for people just to feel at home and relaxed. For some people, it takes a lot of cognitive capacity to keep translating everything and then moving from speaking about one topic to another topic and being virtually. And I think it's very important working in remote teams that are global and and like to consider the fatigue that we're having, to consider, we have different schedules. And I think and here also the key is actually giving people the space to just share it.
Yeah. You know what that made me think of? It made me think of one person I was working with who said the effort it took him to feel like he was understood was immense. But the thing that he said to me that really like landed was he's like, I can't be humorous. I can't be funny. I can't be funny in a language that's not my mother tongue. It doesn't work. Right? And so he was very painfully aware that people perceived him as not being funny, as being humorless and really rigid and stiff. But actually, as a person in his normal life, he's not like that. But because of the language barrier, he has to like focus all his energy on just trying to get a message across. Forget about it being funny or whatever. He's just trying to deliver messages in the most efficient way. And so that it creates, it creates an impression on other people that this person is a certain way and he's not. And I just felt so sad after that. I really did. It was just like, I'm only seeing like a quarter of who you are. And we're working eight hours a day together, Really missing.
I must say that's what I love. Also working with people from different cultures and different across languages, because it is one of my favorite questions. Is also like, how do you feel in each language? In some languages, people feel more assertive, more creative, more playful, whatnot, and invite people to bring this to the team. My partner is from Italy, so we're speaking Spanish at home, and I'm learning Italian. And one thing that I'm now becoming very aware of again is learning a new language means you slow down a lot. A lot. It's like once you understand, I guess I understood. It's too late to answer. So I think working with people and also across departments with different roles.
Right.
So that's also like a kind of language translation. You have product that speaks very different from the development of sales. It's a completely different world of finance. You have the HR. And what are we doing is we're building bridges. We're helping people to translate, to find their words and say, well, when I'm saying performance from an agile perspective, this means the following. What does it mean to you? And then business analysts will tell me it's very different, like what the performance means, or HR professional, right? So it's kind of the same concept, intercultural communication across departments.
Yeah. Bingo.
I love that. The language topic is so interesting because I did a coaching training last year with Singapore around Asia. It was just awesome. And we kind of found out, because it was no native speaker in the group, and we found out that actually English is our coaching language because we only have so few vocabulary and we have to keep it simple. And in my own language, in German, I have so much stuff in here, and that's not helping. And the question in coaching, like, what else? You find out that that's it. You don't need more in coaching, and it's this simple. Get a second and a third question, and then you can be a coach. So, but in German, I'm trying to make it like the perfect thing. And if you don't have like the vocabulary, it can help. And also, I love the fact what you said, Sabrina, the slowing down, because slowing down is one of my most important topics. Like, this is what I do in coaching. I create a space where we can slow down, stop, reflect, whatever is there. So I love the slowing down also. And about remote, how do you support like real connection also in remote?
One of my favorite exercises when I'm kicking off with a new team that's remote is either one of our Miro first things, which is called the remote control, or 5 things that you want to know about me. It's basically, it's super important to get a little bit more fidelity, or is that the word, fidelity?
I don't know.
Like, like pixel, like 72 pixels versus 1040, whatever that's called.
Okay.
I forget how the word. I'll say fidelity about who the people are. And so like this time around, I didn't do remote control, but I just made like giant Miro canvases. I actually really like Miro. I love Miro for a lot of things, maybe primarily for saving Post-its, but also because it just lasts longer, right? You have the board for as long as you have the board, where if you're doing an in-person workshop, things disappear. But anyways, back to the remote and creating connections. I created this giant Miro canvas for each person. I said, throw some pictures up there. What's your favorite dish to eat? What are you listening to on your playlist right now? Whatever. And so everyone says like that's their favorite part of the whole team kickoff workshop, which is all about also working agreements and roles and responsibilities. They love the first part because they get to talk about themselves and share a bit about themselves and look at pictures and talk about photos. And so, again, we're back to creating space for that, creating space for real connection.
Right.
Right.
I got to do this with the photo collage and everything. I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Next team meeting. Like, for sure, Miro, big fan. Big fan. I don't know how I lived without Miro before. The Miroverse, like exploring the different templates and playing, and then breakout rooms. I'm really a
Breakout.
big fan of breakout rooms. I realize the smaller the groups, the better the conversations, and the feedback is often, or the reaction, or the what the takeaway. I met someone. I had the chance to speak with this person. My real breakouts end a list of questions. So maybe this comes with our job, that we always prepared and we're prepared to be prepared, kind of thing. And with the coaching, I get some more structured, like deeper questions. But remember what we did for COA, the kind of speed dating cards where we gave people spaces to go, so places to go, something personal, something about work, something silly. So you just have some conversation starters in case you need them. And to get people to work together and connect through work, also to give them something that they really deeply care about, like a problem they're having. How do we manage dependencies? How do we get the Jira tickets updated? How do we, whatever it is, it might be the smallest topic on a big scale, or it might be a cultural topic, and give people something they care about, put them into breakouts, have them come back and share, and do it again, and do it again, and do it again.
Yep. And it's also like really, I mean, I feel like it sounds obvious and simple, but it's worth sharing. Slack is probably pretty popular in most companies as well. And saying good morning in Slack can go a long way. And you notice who says good morning and who doesn't say good morning, and just like making it normal to say good morning, putting up an emoji, what, like, I like to call it working out loud also, like just over communicating about this is what I'm doing. This is, connecting people. I'm always like, tagging people or connecting them. You should know about this probably, or whatever. Just, putting what is happening for me all day long into something that would be of interest to the rest of the people I'm working with in Slack. But, there's like, when is it spam, or how many Slack channels do we have? So there's balance to be had. But, even just like common courteous human things like saying good morning, I think goes a long way.
Yeah.
And
And I love what
Jeremy,
you said. I'm sorry.
you mostly work online or remote? What is your kind of setup or your advice? Because I'm also collecting here new ideas. I'm shopping as we go.
Right.
We'll make it from you.
It's a mix. I would love to do more remote. My one-on-one coaching is focused on remote with awesome coaches from Japan and China. So I'm really happy. There's no question if this is happening in real life or remote. This needs to happen remote because you're in Japan, I'm in Hamburg City. And also you're talking about like global teams. And it was like, I just got a memory like back from Xing. I think the first team, and this is where I just got like the seed of remote in me, was I had an engineering team that I was helping as an HR coach that was half Porto and half Hamburg City. And so there was a stand-up that was hybrid, and we did the retrospective that was also kind of remote or hybrid. And there was no question. It was just happening. And I love what you said, Mel. The process of going remote or doing things remote is such a nice process in doing things consciously that you sometimes, like the good morning, you say good morning or you just smile, but then you're going remote and there's nothing.
There's nothing.
What happened? So it needs to be a conscious decision to say like good morning in Slack. And I like this process, but it's also something that maybe there's something missing because, it needs a conscious decision on that. I love both. I love remote because I'm also feeling very confident in my home setup. I love my setup. That's always my advice. I love to have a good camera, a good sound. That's also quality that is helping you and the other person you're with, also the space, having a great experience. So if you're creating a workshop, it needs to be kind of a quality to have like a good experience. And
To add on top on this, the video on is a big conversation, I feel. And in one-on-one coaching, I think it doesn't, for me, it's fine either way. Because sometimes also when I'm getting coached, I prefer not to be seen because I might tear up. I maybe want to go on a walk. It's a one-on-one. In team settings, I think, especially for facilitator, and I keep telling people, I'm asking them, please help me. I feel awkward and silly being in the room, not seeing anyone, and I'm just, hello?
Hello.
Anyone there? And until people unmute, and then they're like, yes, 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 I was on mute. And there's also this biological side of things, which is actually our mirror neurons kick in when we see someone. We feel empathy, we feel connection. And I grew up with my family in Poland, and I grew up in Germany. And for me, when Skype got launched, it changed the game. Now it wasn't only the voice, and I already was very connected with my family members. But to see them really changed, and me experiencing this transition from a personal point of view really impacts how I see video on or not. And I would always go like, come on, if we're here, I also don't ever put makeup on when I work. I don't try to, I'm not doing anything extra. I come as I am, and let's just be us. And I do think this is something that I would wish for people to be more, to think about this a little more, like how it lands if the camera's off, or if you need it, just ask for it. Like, hey, today, I really don't want to switch the camera on. I'm really not feeling, of course, no problem. There should be more 2 out of 10 times that the camera is off than the other way around, I think. I don't know.
I like that. Yeah. We talked about pauses. When was your last pause together on your journey, and what came up?
Pause or horse? Horse.
When was the last time you both were on a horse together?
We went riding together last year.
Also an interesting story. If there's one, get it out there.
No, I mean, you want to talk about horse riding and leadership?
Well, actually, yes.
Do we want to open that box?
So just a teaser, one thing that Mel and I are very passionate about, and that is on our list that we really want to make happen, is to bring people to horses and to have this moment of connection in nature, and to, feed in some leadership skills like empathy, connection, calm, whatnot. And we have the horse trainer with us there. We have already a team, and that's something that Mel and I also have manifested to make it a thing for the both of us to see each other more. In
natural environment. Horses are so empathic. I mean, you want like something that's going to mirror back to you what you're feeling, get on a horse and it will tell you what state you're in. But
I did a workshop. I did a workshop.
Oh, you did?
No, I'm not doing it, but I did it in the past as a team strengthening workshop, and it was great. I'm still talking about it, and it was like 15 years ago, I think.
Wow.
So it was a very deep, experience. So I'm looking forward. I need to come to Barcelona if you do it, and be part of that.
Well, of course. Okay, put it on my prayer list right now.
But you weren't asking about horses, and you were asking about
pausing.
Pause.
Slowing down, pausing together, because it feels like you're strong. You're doing stuff. What about the last pause? Reflect. When was that, and what came up for you working together?
I mean, right now when we're we tell each other what's going on in our lives, and when we are on pause, so that the expectations are clear and they're understood. So last week I said, I'm out from Thursday to Tuesday. This is what I want to be able to do when I'm off. Let's see if I get it done. We have to do that because we're both working separate gigs. We're working on Ally together. There's a lot of stuff going on. And so, I think the most important thing Sabrina and I do for ourselves is just tell each other what to expect. And it goes up and down. Sometimes we're focused together. Sometimes Sabrina's more on. Sometimes I'm more on. Somehow it all works out.
And I think what's interesting is that other people force us to reflect. So whenever we bring someone in to help us,
Yeah.
Social media, then it's a question, well, what do you want?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think this really helps us to come back to our center because, as I said in the beginning, I'm like all about ideas, and then, and then we have a backlog of topics that we want to do. Mel creates those beautiful articles on topics that we go this way, or let's look at those conferences, let's look at this, and then whenever someone joins us to support us, this really I feel like slows us down and helps us
Mm.
find our focus for now.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. So, looking at the time, this conversation has already brought so much depth and interesting topics. Is there something that you want to add to make this a holistic conversation?
So when you talk about pausing, it makes me think about what we were talking about earlier with NBC, and it made me think about what we were saying earlier about expressing what you're feeling in your own words, in your own language. I think one of the things that comes up repeatedly for me when I'm coaching is that space that is required for us to be able to be honest with ourselves. And allowing ourselves to have that space is sometimes really hard. And sometimes, what our job is as coaches of teams or of individuals is creating that space. So these days, I really feel like less is more. And having awkward silences is actually super useful. You don't always have to fill in the space. That's one lesson that we repeat over and over in the leadership program. It's just like, slow down and don't talk, just listen, right? I love the acronym, why am I talking? Wait. I think it's super powerful. And yeah, it's just, slowing things down, making space, listening.
Dharma, I'm dying to know what is that, when you would take a second to think about this, reflect upon this, what is a message that you take away from this conversation with us? Like, oh, okay, that's what they're about.
It's more a feeling of I already have you on my side, like as an ally. Because everything you said was resonating like fully. Everything. Every word, everything you described. And I'm not sure if I had that before. And it's not only two of us, it's the three of us. So I'm blown away by this conversation. So yeah, it's everything. And it's the stance, what I feel. Like between strength that you have, that you're doing, and also the balance with the embodiment, like the body part. I think that's the holistic. So I can feel it. Also the feeling of we can do this remote, and we're doing this remote, and it works. This is proof. I see proof. It is. That's, yeah, what I'm taking from this.
Thank you
I
so
love that.
much. I want to say thank you. I feel so connected and so energized, and I really want to meet you. I get to know you better. I really hope we stay in touch and exchange thoughts and experiences. I'm looking forward to more Jorma in my life.
Definitely.
Thank you. And yeah, bingo. Same here. Thank you. Thank you, Sabrina. Thank you, Mel, for both of you for sharing your story, for being so transparent and vulnerable. I love that. Giving your insights and also your energy into this room. What about if someone wants to learn more about you as individuals, as coaches, or as you with Ally? Where's the best place to find you?
So you can find, I'm going like this and then I'm talking. Do you love it?
Now it's time for the pitch. It's pitch time now.
It's pitch time. Please follow us on LinkedIn. We're listed as Ally. And our website is myally.work.
This will be the thumbnail now that you know. Just
Yes, just find us on LinkedIn, Sabrina Hauptmann. I don't even know how to pronounce my own name.
yeah. We'll put everything in the show notes. So
Okay.
If there's anyone I think you're open for a talk, just contact you, have a chat, have a message on LinkedIn. Yeah, again, thank you so much for an awesome conversation, a dialogue. I love that. And thank you, all of you listeners, for listening. Thank you for being a part of You're Amazing. And let's keep listening, learning, and leading together. And Sabrina and Mel, you're amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so
How
much.
are you? Thank you.